In this video I'm gonna show you how to work out for Ramadan, the Muslim month of fasting, or for anyone doing fasting diets. So here are some tips. The first tip is don't stop working out, as you will feel tired very easily when fasting, which is normal, obviously, especially when doing heavy activities. So because of this, it becomes easy to avoid working out altogether, which is a big mistake. And especially if you don't check your diet, because after some days or weeks, or for the case of Ramadan, like a month, then you can lose your gains easily. So make sure to work out. Even to be conservative, you can work out as little as you want or can, which is still better than not working out at all. Number two would be you still can take the required meals and macros. So as you know, eating is the most important part of working out and training, especially for building muscle. So Ramadan and typical fasting diets still have a window for eating. So depending on what diet you're following, or what time of the year Ramadan is, because it changes by year. So a typical window would be between 6 to 12 hours. So for the shortest fast, getting macros and enough meals is easy. So obviously for a short fast, it's not really a big problem. But for longer fasts, you can still get at least 2 or 3 meals. So for example, for Ramadan, when the sun sets, it's easy to get a meal, obviously. Or you can do like 2 short meals during sunset, and after it, like 1.5 hour after it, or maybe 2 hours after. And obviously the third meal just before breaking, or just before starting the fast rather. But even in between, you can add another meal or two. So it can be like 3 to 4 meals quite easily. Especially for some people who don't sleep at night, some Muslims who don't sleep at night during Ramadan. So that's for the meals. And obviously, you must focus especially on getting enough proteins, which is the hardest part. And protein is also the most important macro that you need. So this brings us to the third point, which is that small meals and supplements are quite useful actually for fasting people. So fasting is one of the situations where smaller protein-rich meals are very useful because of the short window. So because of the short amount of time you have during these diets or during Ramadan, then uh, this short period of time need to be spent wisely when taking meals. So because of this, getting smaller meals rich in protein, of course, or supplements are not needed in general, but for these kinds of people, then it is I wouldn't say recommended, because it's still like chemicals and stuff, but I mean it's highly useful, to say the least. So because of the short window given to eat and consume protein, so for example, you can take just a glass of milk mixed with whey, which can give from 20 to 30 grams of protein, and it's considered like a small meal. So it's a lot of protein with not much effort on your body. and that's quite easy. Also, one of the situations where whey protein or BCAA supplements can be very useful. And I added BCAAs because I believe BCAAs are not really useful at all. I even made a video or two about it, you can check out. But as I mentioned here, for the fasting periods, it's quite useful actually. And the next point regarding it is if doing a fast where you can drink, because some fasts, not for Muslims, some fasts that people do, they can actually drink like water, and I don't know if they can add something in it. But anyways, if they can, then consuming some BCAA can be a good idea. So getting the necessary from proteins without the calories. So again, it's probably one of the only situations where BCAA can actually be useful. So like you just drink like a glass of water with some BCAAs, which give you what is needed from the protein. So it's not even like whey, which would make you consume a bit of calories, not a lot, like 60 to 100 calories, depending on how much whey and if you mix it with something, etc. But for BCAAs, you get what is needed from the proteins, like from the 30 grams of protein, you get like the 5 grams of BCAAs, and without the calories. So this would be like 20 calories only, or you can take even less. Next point is when to work out, and people differ regarding the proper time. So during the fast, or after breaking it, or before the fast. And really, as I mentioned here, you can figure out what best suits you because honestly, it's not a big difference. But for my personal choice, it's not to train on an empty stomach. Rather, you should train after breaking the fast. And I mean, this is obvious because of energy, etc. And you get tired and dehydrated. And when you break the fast, I would suggest preferably with a small meal. About and the workout to be about an hour later. So, because if you have a heavy meal, then you will get tired and like it will be harder to train. And especially when it's gonna be late, then you will be even more tired. So, this is why on workout days, you should preferably have smaller meals just before working out so you can have the energy and yeah, that's it. So I said then, especially when doing very intense workouts and you get highly dehydrated. So I mean, this is obvious. Point number 5, be careful of overeating because it's easy to mentally think that you can let yourself go and eat a lot because of the short window excuse. And I know of a lot of people who do this, especially for Ramadan in most Muslim communities. Meals are huge and feasts. So like meals become like feasts. And tons of fatty foods and sugars become traditional during Ramadan. Or became traditional during Ramadan, which is true. And I know even of some people who get fat during Ramadan, which is supposed to be like the opposite. Next important point would be consume plenty of water. Because in opposition to food, you should drink plenty of water, especially to avoid dehydration, as was mentioned previously. Dehydration during the day or fasting periods. And to get in line with the last point, this will also help you avoid overeating. So this is it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, I'd like and subscribe, and see you next time.